Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. I have some eye-opening news that could really shake up the NFC East and potentially set the stage for the Washington Commanders to take a giant leap forward this season. It's no secret that the Commanders have been quietly building a more competitive roster, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and recent developments point to a possible game-changing move in the works. We've been watching closely, and what's happening with the Cincinnati Bengals and their star defensive end Trey Hendrickson might just give the Commanders the perfect opportunity to strike. Yes, I'm talking about a potential trade that could bolster Washington's pass rush significantly, and believe me, it's something fans should be paying very close attention to. So, let's dive into the situation. The Cincinnati Bengals, known for their aggressive approach to roster building, have recently found themselves in a bit of a financial pickle. They've invested heavily in their star wide receivers, Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, spending over $275 million on contract extensions just to keep that explosive duo happy and on the field. And honestly, you can't fault them for that. When you have a tandem like Chase and Higgins, both capable of lighting up defenses and carrying your offense, it's a no-brainer to lock them down long-term. But here's the thing, all that spending has left the Bengals stretching their salary cap thin, especially when it comes to their defense. And on the defensive front is Trey Hendrickson, a player who has been a staple of Cincinnati's pass rush since he arrived. Hendrickson has been a force on the field, racking up 17.5 sacks in recent seasons, proving he's one of the most consistent and dangerous edge rushers in the league. But despite his production, Hendrickson's relationship with the Bengals has become increasingly strained. Over the summer, reports surfaced that he was described as being furious with the team's front office because they've been unwilling to meet his contract extension demands. And it's not just talk. Hendrickson has been boycotting much of Cincinnati's mandatory workouts, making it clear that he's fed up with the current situation. This has escalated to the point where Cincinnati is now openly listening to trade offers for their star pass rusher. NFL Network reported that with contract talks at an impasse, the Bengals are reportedly willing to move Hendrickson in exchange for draft picks or other assets. Now, this is a big deal. Hendrickson, a perennial Pro Bowler, is still just 29 years old, and he's in the prime of his career. The team's willingness to consider trading him signals that they're more interested in managing their cap space than holding onto a player who's clearly unhappy. And this is where the Washington Commanders, a team that's been quietly assembling talent and looking to take that next step, might come into play. Now, let's look at the numbers. Hendrickson is currently projected to have an over $18 million cap hit in the final year of his deal. That's a hefty price tag, but considering his production and impact on the field, many teams, including Washington, might see it as a worthwhile investment. Especially now, with the market value for a player of his caliber potentially being around $30 million per year, Hendrickson's trade value could be quite high. The Bengals are facing a tough choice. Either pay him what he wants, or risk losing him for nothing if they let him walk in free agency. It's a classic case of a team and player at a crossroads, with the team's front office perhaps more willing than ever to trade him for the right return. And that's where the Commanders could swoop in. Remember, Washington has been fairly aggressive in recent years when it comes to making bold moves. They've traded for talent like Laremy Tunsil and Deebo Samuel, so they're no strangers to making splashy deals. The current situation with Hendrickson offers a tantalizing opportunity. Reports suggest that Washington might only need to part with a couple of day 3 draft picks and a young player like Jerjan Newton to land Hendrickson. That's a no-brainer for a team that's trying to make a push for the playoffs and believes they're just 1 or 2 pieces away from contending for a Super Bowl. Imagine that pass rush with Hendrickson lining up opposite Montez Sweat and Chase Young. The potential for that front seven to become one of the most feared in the league is real. Hendrickson's ability to get after the quarterback, combined with Washington's young talent and coaching, could transform their defense into a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. It's exactly the kind of move that could elevate the Commanders from a good team to a great one, especially if they can add that extra punch on defense and improve their pass rush efficiency. Now, let's not forget the current state of the Commanders' roster. They've been steadily building a talented team around quarterback Sam Howell, who showed flashes of brilliance last season, and they've got some promising pieces on defense. But they lack that consistent, game-changing pass rusher to really take their defense to the next level. Hendrickson could be that missing piece, the player who complements their existing pass rush and creates headaches for offenses week in and week out. And with the NFC East getting more competitive each year, having that kind of edge can be the difference between making the playoffs or missing out entirely. But it's not just about adding talent. It's about making a statement. The Commanders have been patient, but now might be the perfect moment to strike. The Bengals' internal issues and Hendrickson's dissatisfaction give Washington a unique window of opportunity. If they can execute this trade, it could send a strong message to the rest of the league that they're serious about contending now. It's a move that could shift the balance of power in the NFC East and push the Commanders closer to their Super Bowl aspirations. So, what's next? Well, the NFL trade deadline is approaching, and all signs point to some fireworks. The Bengals are clearly open to deals, and Hendrickson's market value is at an all-time high. For Washington, this could be a perfect storm, a chance to acquire a top-tier pass rusher without giving up their entire future. It's a bold move, but one that could pay off immensely if executed correctly. The question now is, will the Commanders step up and make that deal? Will they seize this moment to strengthen their roster and push for a deep playoff run? Only time will tell, but what's certain is that this situation is developing fast, and fans should be ready for some exciting news ahead. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think acquiring Hendrickson would be the move that puts Washington over the top? Or do you believe they should hold their draft capital and wait for other opportunities? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the team. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news, because this season promises to be unforgettable. Remember, whether it's a blockbuster trade, a breakout player, or an under-the-radar signing, we're here to bring you all the latest and most comprehensive coverage of the Commanders. So make sure you subscribe, share with your fellow fans, and keep the passion alive. The NFC East is heating up, and Washington is right in the middle of it, fighting for every inch, every game, every playoff spot. Thanks for watching, and let's keep the momentum going. Here's to a season of surprises, excitement, and hopefully, a return to the Super Bowl stage for the Washington Commanders.